Good afternoon. I am going to introduce this handy little online organizer that I found called Remember the Milk. I got this from the list of the 102 collaborative learning programs that we had on our Moodle. And I'm going to start with the sign-in page because I think this is pretty funny. It has everything's impossible until somebody does it. Bruce Wayne said that, and as you can see, this monkey makes these quotes. It's a little bit humorous, and there's a different quote every time you log in. I think something as simple as that is a nice piece that will engage students of high school students of the age that I'm teaching. So just little quirks like this, I think, are advantageous to getting a little bit of student buy-in. The purpose for me using this site is that every student in our school is given a physical planner at the beginning of every year. And at this point in the year, probably very few students actually have them in their possession. They definitely don't have them on person. And whenever I ask a student to get their planners out and write down homework assignments, maybe one or two actually has the planner. And of that, maybe one of them will actually write down the assignment. They'd probably rather write it down on their hand or tear out a piece of scratch paper, which I'll always find on the floor after they leave class. So getting students to write things down on physical pieces of paper is not the most successful thing for us. So here's the interface right here, and I'll just do a quick little walkthrough of it because it is really that simple. And then I'll go through a couple of the options in a more tutorial sense. But here's a list I've created, and here's something I created for today that I wanted to use as an example. So why don't I delete that task? All right, so adding a task. First of all, I have my number of tasks here. This is a nice little feature here. This is how much time these tasks will take. So if I say it's if I have a meeting from 1 to 2 o'clock, this is adding up all of my meetings, letting me know exactly how much time I have being taken out of my day, week, or month, or what have you. It's letting me know of my overdue tasks and also completed. So this one I have completed, so I don't have to worry about that. So if I wanted to add a task and say I wanted to have lunch with somebody, it's 12:30, so it's going to be a late lunch. So have lunch with so-and-so at 1 p.m. I can type that in. So here is the due date. So mine is due today, but for the purpose of students, this is very great because if it's due in a week, they can put the due date, it's due in 1 week. So they'll know that. What's the assignment date? So if I assign it today, they can mark when they got the assignment. How important is this to me? So if I'm a student, if it's a test, I'm going to make this high priority. If it's a homework sheet or a handback or maybe reviewing some notes, maybe a little bit less. If it's not a graded assignment, then I can attach a lower priority to it. But this person's not that important to me, so I'll just put no priority. I might not even make it. But that's a great way for students to prioritize the work that they have to do. Adding a tag. This vacation one I actually created. I'll go over that a little bit more later. But this is personal. It's not work. Do I want it to repeat? As you can see, I did that down here with my mentor teacher that I meet with. So I met with her yesterday, and I'll meet with her again next Friday and every Friday for the rest of the year. So that task will just reoccur. Do I want to add a time estimate? This is where this number comes from over here. So let's say lunch is going to take 30 minutes. And do I want to give this to somebody? So maybe this person that I want to meet for lunch doesn't know that I want to meet for lunch, or maybe I want to make sure they didn't forget. And this is the most important part because for students, this is how they will collaborate together. First of all, I can create lists of all my students in separate classes, which I'll go over, but students can also create lists of groups of students within the class. So I added another fellow teacher earlier, and now I plugged her in. So I add the task. She gets this task as well and knows that we're meeting for lunch. And as you can see, my time estimated went up and all this adjusted. So I can organize my tasks or my inbox by day, week. I can organize it by how many tasks I've given to other people. I can organize my list by personal or work. And the smart list option. This option is very awesome because what I can do is actually create smart lists where I search for students based on an assignment created rather than students in class. And then tags. I actually created a tag called vacation. That's how you add a new tag. So say I'm going to be on spring break, and I can put this into my calendar so that parents, students know that I am away for vacation and that I may not be answering emails or be available at that time, but obviously you can create tags for anything else that you feel is important. And then you can also create tags for locations. I might add the name of my high school so that and the class room number so that they know where to be. I actually have parent-teacher conferences coming up, and I will be using this. I'll be using this program to send invites to all the parents because something tells me that the notifications that we give students to take home may not always make it. So I'll be using this to email about 40 plus parents, letting them know what date. And the other thing is that they can schedule the time. So we have a block of time from 2 p.m. to about 7 p.m. on parent-teacher conference night. The parents can select a time that works for them, and then they can come in at that time. I don't have to do the scheduling and do all the writing down and the remembering. So this is basically that interface. It's very simple. It gives you a lot of cool little options for customizing your tasks, and it's very easy to read. It is, you can sync this with Google Calendar, and I'll get to that right now. Here's a quick little tutorial of the options. So of course you can download it to different electronic devices like your phone or your tablet. Adding tasks is quick and easy, like I just mentioned and just demonstrated. This is something that is very simple to do, and like I said, you can sync with your Google Calendar. Working with lists and tags, this is one of the reasons why I selected to use this for my class, is because I can create different tags and let people know what they're doing at what time. It's color coded, it's visual. I can have a group of students all in red that are working on computers, while I have a group of students all in blue that are working in the library, and a group of students all in green that are working with me in the classroom. So this is a great way to separate groups within the class. This is my favorite part of this application, is the ability to get things done together. Students can create groups, they can set due dates, they can set assignments for themselves, they can create places and times to meet. And so rather than students writing something down in their planner and then it being a completely individual task, they can share it with other students. So this will be very handy for group work. It can be used for study groups, just a great way to keep students all on the same page of what's going on, especially because I have certain activities that require participation in class. If some students come unprepared, then that activity cannot be done in class. And so this will be a way to make sure that students can hold each other accountable. It's not always the teacher saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's students saying, hey, have you done this? I'm going to ask you to come do this. Let's collaborate and do this together. So I really like the option of making students accountable. Searching for tasks, this is an option most of us are used to on our Gmail, but you can just search in keywords and find the tasks. So I can find specific students through assignments if I type in keywords to the assignments or the class. Smart lists, I think, is pretty cool because if I have a high priority task, I can just make a list based on that and hit all the students, letting them know you're going to have a quiz tomorrow, you're going to have a test tomorrow, make sure you study. And then, of course, the all-important setting up reminders. Like I mentioned, students that do use their planners, they probably lose them. They leave them in the classroom, or if they do write in them, they don't open them to check them again. So now they can set reminders for themselves instead of writing it on a piece of paper and then losing that piece of paper. And here are the options that you can sync with. So that is basically Remember the Milk. I think it's a great site, very engaging, a lot of fun, and very easy to use, and will be great for my students.